I'm Craig Beaumont-Flynn. Welcome to Beyond the Design, a show that gives you a peek behind the curtain of the design industry and shares the stories of those that are the driving force behind it. Well, today, welcome Thom Filicia to Beyond the Design.
Hello. Happy to be here.
Hello.
What's happening?
Oh, the usual.
How far beyond the design are we going to go? I'm really excited.
As far as you want. I think
Awesome.
We have the bets on.
Okay. But and this is not the clothing optional one. This is the one where I'm cool with that too. I'm okay
we'll do
with
that for after hours.
Cool. I love it.
So,
so I'm excited to go beyond design, and I'm also bringing Lago's going to be a part of our journey. So
there's
right?
the star.
There he is. You want to go lay down somewhere, or you want to hang out here?
Let's see. If I brought mine to the show, I'd be covered up with 4 dogs. So hey.
Oh wow, 4? You have 4 dogs.
Oh yeah.
Now are they rescues? Or are they not rescues? What are they?
They're all rescues.
So's this guy.
It's like a mini zoo.
Yeah, he's a little rescue from ARF out in the Hamptons.
Oh, fantastic.
And I've had him he is going to be 8 years old. Wait, let me just think. Is he 8 this year or 9? Oh, I have to remember. Oh my God, I'm a bad parent. No, he is 8.5 right now. So he's going to be 9 this July 4th. I keep his birthday on July 4th so that he's constantly amazed at what I do for his birthday.
It's all about him.
I'm like, look, I've told everybody. Everyone is super excited about it.
Well, Thom Filicia, tell us a little about your journey into the design world. How'd you get started, and why'd you get started, and how'd you go from one sector in education into the world of interior design and ultimately television, books, brand, and everything else in between?
Well, okay. I mean, as much as no one listening to this podcast will want to hear me say, but it kind of started in like 5th grade. They're going to be like, oh my God, how long is this podcast? No, but when I wanted to be an architect when I was a young kid, and I ended up drawing on my desk when a school teacher went on vacation. And of course, substitute teacher was, I was told her that we were totally allowed to do that. And when my teacher got back, of course, I got in trouble. And then the principal was involved. And then they took a picture of me with the principal. And then I realized, wait a minute, they're taking a picture of me, the principal, and the desk. That means as bad as it was kind of a good thing. And that's
free publicity.
That's when I started to realize that was my thing. So I ended up in an advanced art class, and I started designing houses in 5th and 6th grade, and they would go up on the Mr. Byer, the principal's bulletin board in front of his office, and so it was like a really big deal. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not great at spelling, so my spelling bee operation was never ever there for anyone to see. So, but my architecture, my houses were. So that was exciting. And then I always thought I wanted to be an architect, and that was kind of the direction I was going in, until I started looking at different programs at schools. And I did a tour of Syracuse University's architecture and interior design program. And I was just totally enamored with what was going on in the interior design program, and more so than anything. And I was looking at industrial design and all that. And so that's how I ended up studying interior design. And I ended up going to Syracuse University because I wanted an art school and a collegiate experience. And I ended up being in a fraternity and another social club that I got in trouble for being in 2 social clubs, which was hilarious. So that's what I did. And college was great, lots of fun. And I graduated and did really well in my program, and finally got out of there and graduated. And I interned for Parrish Hadley in New York City in between my junior and my senior year. And they hired me out of school when I graduated. And then I worked there for about a year and a half or a year or something like that. and then I moved from there to Robert Metzger, and I was there for like 3.5, maybe 4 years. I forget, but about that amount of time. And then Robert passed away towards about a year before I left, and then I went, which was very sad. He was a really amazing guy, and Sister Parrish had died in between my summer
Mm.
and my being hired by Parrish Hadley. So God, I'm lucky I didn't get like a bad rep for people dying every time they hired me. But anyways, I think it was. But anyways, joking aside, it was very, it was a very bizarre moment because I didn't expect that to happen, and he was a really awesome, great guy. What not my favorite aesthetic, but a
Mm-hmm.
really great businessman and a great guy. And then I went and worked for Jeffrey Bill Huber, who, like Albert Hadley, was definitely more in my wheelhouse of my aesthetic. And I was really excited to be there. And I was with Jeffrey for about 4 years. And I moonlighted at one point for Ellen Tanksley. I think that's when I was at Parrish Hadley because he was good friends with David Kleinberg. So I was, I mean, basically, I was like, had fabrics. My motto at that point was, have fabrics will travel.
You've been around the block.
Yeah, so that's what I did. That's what I did. And then I worked for Jeffrey for like 4 years, and that was amazing and really cool experience. And his aesthetic was definitely more in my wheelhouse. So that was made it a lot more fun for me to be designing things that I would want to be designing myself,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
also being sort of, he's a really creative, interesting designer, and so it was great to be around that sort of energy and sort of get all that kind of creative. We had a great dialogue because we kind of really did bounce ideas off of each other, and he was really, yeah, I really enjoyed learning from him and collaborating with him whenever I could, and working with the clients that were kind of looking for things that were more in line with kind of what I liked doing,
Mm-hmm.
not only for myself but for clients. So that was really really cool, and then I went off on my own in 1998. I think I was like, I don't even know how old I was. I'm guessing 1998. I think I was like maybe
You don't have
29. I was about 29 years
there you
old, I
go.
think. And yeah, I think I was about 29. And so that was exciting. And I don't, I mean, if I, knew all the things I needed to know to open a business, I probably would have been afraid to do it, but I did it. And, and
Leap of faith.
I, was started the company, and we ended up, the offices were in Soho at 270 Lafayette for many years. And I was there for a while, and just kind of like trying to, learn, not only just kind of learn sort of how to run the business side of it, which was, I
Mm-hmm.
think, very complicated and confusing, and
Which they
also
don't.
be
They
a
usually don't.
designer.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
usually don't teach you that the business portion in school. Like here
Mm-mm.
you go, you can design, but business.
No, I remember like a 45-minute class about how to create a proposal. I
That's in
think,
depth.
I think that was kind of it. No, I mean, there was a little bit, but it certainly wasn't very much about the being an entrepreneur, or
Mm-hmm.
starting a business, or even the business part of maybe even working at a firm and understanding, because I don't think designers really understand like what they're what they're able to accomplish with clients. It has a lot to do with what they're able to be compensated for. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you're able to run 4 or 5 projects, and you're able to, you know, really make a lot of interesting ideas come to life. That there's a
True.
lot of
True.
value in that, and
Mm-hmm.
so that's great for whether you're working at a firm or thinking of going off on your own. I think that's really important, and understanding how to take something from a concept or an idea and getting it understood by somebody to the point where they're excited about it and they
Sure.
want to sort of support the design process and make it happen, So I think that's really an interesting, thing that they don't really talk too much about in design school. And yeah, I think for me, having gone to a design, I was in a design school, but I was also at a university. So I had friends that were studying, finance and that were, in studying geography, studying design, architecture, in graphic design. I mean, there was advertising. So you have a real mix of people. And I think you learn how to communicate with people that are visual, people that aren't visual.
Mm-hmm.
And and I think that's really important because when you go out into the world, that's pretty typical, that you get a mixed
True.
bag. Even with clients, you have one that can sort of see what you're talking about, and the other one has no idea what you're talking
Right.
about.
Doesn't understand where you're going or what's
Yeah,
happening, or
yeah,
doesn't know how to interpret or relay what they want.
yes, right. And
And
I
part
think
of
that's also another really important part of the business is learning how to communicate with different people,
mm-hmm.
learning their language and understanding what they're meaning by what they're saying, so that you're kind of like, I think I understand where you're coming from, what you're thinking about, or what your idea is. So I think communication is really a big part of this business, because that's where a lot of the sort of understanding of what the goal is will come out
Mm-hmm.
of, and what the objective is and what the aesthetic is and sort of the lifestyle and point of view is of what you're working on, whether it's commercial or residential, so yeah, interesting.
So your work is known for blending classic and modern styles seamlessly. How do you approach finding the right balance in your designs?
Well, it's interesting that you say balance because I think balance to me is exactly what you're looking for in your
Mm.
design. You're trying to figure out what the balance is for that particular project, so I'm always balancing sort of like, when you're working on a project in New York City, let's say, or in any city, you're dealing with sort of city life and city architecture and city interiors and city lifestyle. So you're kind of like, but you do want it to be warm and inviting, and you want it to also be comfortable, and you want it to be sophisticated. And then you take into consideration the actual architecture, the actual client, the actual lifestyle that you're dealing with. And you start to create that balance, which is, I always say, it's sort of, you're creating that combination, which is
Mm-hmm.
authentic or sort of specific or bespoke to that person or people, family or brand, and you kind of create that based on those kind of variables that you're looking at. And I think that when you're creating that balance and that combination, I think that's a really exciting part of the project where you're really sort of looking at what is the, is this a second home? Is it a third home? Is it a primary residence? Um, and what is happening in this environment? Are people
Mm-hmm.
coming
True.
and going to work and school? Is this, is it a recreation fund, beach travel, uh, you know, ski, whatever? There's always some lifestyle that's, connected to the interior. And you're kind of connecting the lifestyle, the architecture, um, the sort of geographically kind of where you are, and you're
Right.
taking those things, and then of course the personality and aesthetic and point of view of the client, that whether it's a client or clients within that family or group. So it's interesting to kind of take all of that and kind of put it into sort of the design blender, and give it its own sort of authentic point of view, personality, aesthetic approach. And I think that that's where I think a lot of the unique qualities and the interesting design, creative design solutions, and also um, just really having like kind of a North Star for the project.
Right. Right. So a few years back, you were on a television show. Could you share a memorable or challenging experience from your time on Queer Eye? And how did that show impact your career and change you as a
Well,
designer?
yes, interesting. Well, I'm going to start by sort of how I got involved with Queer Eye, because it was a
Okay.
little bit
Yeah.
outside of, you know, it was outside of my area of focus. So I had my office in Soho. I had about 12 people at that point, 12 or 13 people working for me. And um, we were, I had a dog. I adopted a dog. His name was, that time, this is Lago. I had Paco in those days. And I adopted him. I found him out in the Hamptons again. And he was Friday night, needed to go out, and it was like, I think it was like fall in the city, and it was a Friday night. We were leaving the office, and he was like dying to leave, and had to go to the bathroom. And we get into the elevator on a Friday night, and it's close. It's probably like 5:30 or 6 o'clock, and the elevator stops in between the floors below us. There's a bunch of women in the elevator with me and the dog. One of them starts to panic and says she's got really bad news, that she's claustrophobic, and she kind of alerts me and everyone else in the elevator. And I said, well, I've got really bad news, because at this point she was sitting on the floor kind of panicking. And I said, I've got really bad news. I said, my dog is about to poop on you, basically, because because you are sitting on the floor and he really needs to go to the bathroom. So I said, you're going to need to really like pet him and like keep him busy and keep him occupied. And I was trying to give her like a way to kind of take her off of her, you know,
Right.
cuckoo bananas. She was going down that road instead of, so I got her to play with the dog. And then I found out she was single, and I said, that's great. And we were like trying to figure out what to do with the elevator. And finally they said the fire department was coming. So I said, I don't know about you guys, but if you've not seen the fireman calendar, this could be someone's moment, could be today. So if you're single and ready to mingle, this could be somebody's moment. So we got her like all excited that the fireman calendar guys were coming to rescue us from the elevator, and the hatch opened, and it was not the fireman from the calendar, unfortunately. But we were very excited to get out, like, because we were in there for about an hour. And we got out, and we were in the lobby, and one of the girls in the elevator explained that she was a talent scout, and she asked me if I was a comedian, and I said no, I'm an interior designer, but some people look at my work and probably think I'm joking. and and that was it. And then about 2 months later, she called and said, "There's this thing that came across my desk, and I think you might be a good fit for it. Would you consider, talking to them?" And that is literally how I ended up speaking to the people from Bravo about the
Wow.
possibility of, being on Queer Eye. Not even really understanding what Queer Eye was, or, it was very confusing. I was like, what?
Right.
But anyways, so that is how that happened. And it took some time. I actually didn't even think it was going to happen, and was not even concerned about it. I didn't really think much about it. And it kind of, I don't know, it just sort of popped back in about 6, 8 months later. They were called me and said, okay, we think we're ready to do this, and we'd be interested if you would do it with us. So I did it, and I thought a lot about it. And I talked to Albert Hadley. I talked to David Kleinberg about it. I talked to Alan uh, Tanksley. I talked to Jeffrey Bill Huber. I mean, I asked them all, guys, what do you
Right.
think I should do? And everybody said, do not do it. You're going to regret it.
Really?
Yeah, they were like, you don't want to be on TV as a designer. They're like, it wasn't at that time in 2003, and it might have been
Right.
2002 when I asked them. And there was nothing really on TV that was like it was very
Comparable. Right.
lowbrow, kind of like, while you were out or something, like your neighbors would like hijack your house, and you went to the supermarket and you come home and they'd put like fresh grass in your living room because you love green's your favorite color, or some weird
Right.
stuff like that. And it was more entertainment than anything. And the designers were actually like models that weren't currently working in the modeling world. And it wasn't a
Give them
real,
something to do.
yeah, it was fun entertainment. It was that had something to do with design, I guess, but it wasn't really design. And So they thought this is going to ruin your career. But I just thought to myself, well, people ask me every couple of months to decorate their house. So I feel like no one has asked me to make a TV show yet. So I feel like if an artist or a sculptor were asked to use a new medium like plastic in the 60s or something,
Hmm.
would you say yes or no to it? I only work in bronze. I only work in plaster. I only paint in oils, you know? So, I mean, like,
Right.
you have to be open to new ideas. So I was like, you know what? I can always go to Aspen and be a ski instructor and for a couple of years and then come back and start my career over. So I
That's not a
thought
bad backup.
yeah, right. I was like, yeah, that could work. So that was kind of why I did it. I just thought, no one's ever going to ask me to do this again. So if I say no to it, you got to shut the door on this and move forward and don't look back. And I thought about it and thought, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to give it a whirl. And that's how it's to happen. Um, and then working in television, I thought it was going to be a fun thing to do for a couple of months, like sort of moonlighting outside of my job and making this TV show. And it would have been a really great thing and fun to have a reel and be interesting to show people I did this. And
Right.
who knows, maybe do a show someday or be a guest on a show or a judge or something like that. And that's what I thought would happen. It was not in the realm of possibility in my brain that it would go from like that we would create a network that didn't really exist and that we would sort of open the door for sort of a space in the world of design and television that didn't really exist yet, and that we would also kind of really open a lot of doors for a conversation about sort of sort of different people doing different things in a different way, in a new way, in an exciting new way, and that people were excited about it and opening that
Hmm.
door and opening that conversation. And um, I didn't know that that was even a possibility. So it was very exciting and it was a whirlwind. And it was, on the next thing you know, you're on the Tonight Show and Oprah and, every other talk show and you're, you're on the cover of, you know, Entertainment Weekly and things that are not design related specifically at
Right.
all. Um, and it was a very interesting moment. And, and the conversation about gay men and straight men hanging out together and straight women coming to them for help for their boyfriends or their husbands and people working together for like a greater, happier world and everyone sort of having fun doing it was was uh, was I think not what we expected. And I don't even think we really understood it at that moment. We were
Right.
moving so quickly and so much was happening. And I, unlike the other guys, my space was very unique in the sense that I really needed to be there and I needed to oversee every detail and everything. And there were always crazy problems and all of that. But I was also every day I would get a FedEx or a big delivery in our motorhome where we were going through hair and makeup and wardrobe and all of that. And and someone from my office would come there and we would sit for like an hour during my breaks from shooting and I would, this is going to be here, this is going to go there. We're going, and it was kind of a whole thing. And then of course
Right.
we were traveling like crazy. We were going to LA, we were going to all over the place for promotional things and just, you know, it was just, and we kept thinking, okay, well, now we've done 10 more episodes. Now it'll be over. You're getting, okay,
Right.
we're going to do 20 more episodes. Well, now it'll be over. Okay, we're going to do another 20 episodes. Okay, now it'll be over. And it kept going for like 7 years. And then I ended up doing another show after, which was Dress My Nest. And then I did Tacky House. And then I did Get a Room. So I kind of was, sort of, I've done a variety of other shows for other networks. And so it just kind of always was there. And maybe in the last, I would say 7, 8 years, I really started thinking, well, I really got to start to like, I wanted to really build my collection of home products and also I have a Thom Filicia home collection, which we have
Mhm.
products. We have furniture and rugs and wall covering and bedding and lighting and textiles, indoor and outdoor. And we're doing accessories now, and we have door hardware, and we have artwork, rugs. I might have said that. I don't know. We have a lot of stuff.
One-stop shop.
And yeah, so we're doing all that. And then I have my design company, Thom Filicia Incorporated, which is, we're about 18 people, and we do commercial and residential design. And that is what we do there. And we have, you can go to Thom Filicia Portfolio and kind of see what we do there. And then I have Sedgwick and Brattle, which is a showroom in New York City that is a to the trade showroom that hosts a lot of our products and other products. And then we also, what else do I do? And then I do, media and TV stuff. And so that's kind of what I do. And that's my, that's kind of my jam. I
That's
live
your
in New York.
gig.
That's my gig. My office is in New York City. We're in the New York Design Center. Um, I have a place I'm renovating right now out in Sag Harbor, and I live in New York City on the High Line. And I still have a place up on a lake in upstate New York called Skinny Atlas. And I don't know, and I have a dog named Lago, and I'm currently single, and I was in a relationship for 13 years, and that's.
That's it.
I think I might have
All right.
brought you right up to this very moment.
That's the show. All right. Thanks, Tom. No.
Thanks for being here.
Well, one thing you didn't mention, you've written a book as well. Your book, American Beauty, focuses
Yes.
on design projects in a rural landscape. What draws you to this particular setting, and how does it influence your creative process?
Well, it's interesting. So that was actually a house I bought in 2008 on 2 acres of waterfront property on the sort of northeast side of Skinny Atlas Lake, about a mile outside of the village. And I bought that property, and I was really excited about, I don't know, I just loved the town. I loved the lake. I loved the water. I had a lot of interesting people there that I knew and friends. And it was a time in my life where I was, it was in a relationship. I had 2 dogs. I had had a house in the Hudson Valley for a long time, and for about 7 years on a lake, but it was a very small lake. And the
Mm-hmm.
Hudson Valley for me, it's absolutely beautiful, and the proximity to New York is very convenient. But I
Yeah.
never really fell in love with the Hudson Valley. I just never
Mm-hmm.
really was my spot, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the proximity and the body of what the water. There's not a lot of great water in the Hudson Valley. They're like little tiny, like pondy-ish kind of lakes, and I really missed being on like these beautiful um, sort of. I grew up going to lakes in the Finger Lakes and also lakes in uh, up the St. Lawrence River, Thousand
Mm-hmm.
Islands, lakes up there, summer camp and things like that. And I just missed these really majestic, beautiful bodies of water that that I was familiar with and I loved. And so I just at some point decided that I felt that there was an exciting moment to be there. And I was there for 17 years. I'm still there, but I ended up buying 2 properties on the lake. One I sold, but which was the house that I had for a very long time. But it was great. And I bought it because there was something about kind of being home, being back where I was from in that region, being connected to people that I knew when I was much younger. Um, there was something very nostalgic about that. There
Mm-hmm.
was something really nostalgic and fabulous about just jumping on your boat and your boat being kind of your car. And I
Right.
could go to the club, I could go to town, I could go to the liquor store, you go get a haircut, you go by boat, go to friends' houses by
Right.
boat, go to dinner by boat, go, so you could go play tennis by boat. So it was just like kind of a fun way to live, and it was it's an easy relationship with the water, and the water quality is incredible on Skaneateles Lake, and people were amazing and are amazing. And I don't know, I just loved it, and it just kind of fit where I was, especially at a time where I was still doing a lot of television. And there was something nice about being in a place that you kind of knew everybody and everybody knew you, and there wasn't a lot of like, oh, there's that guy. You were like,
Yeah.
that happens once and then it doesn't happen anymore. Because
It
you're
brought you down in normal, I guess your normal life or
yeah, it felt
quiet
normal,
time.
and yeah, it felt normal and easy and very manageable, and you kind of know everybody, so there's no like, you kind of don't have that sort of moment. And I don't know, I was just not ready to have a house out in the Hamptons yet. I don't think, in my brain.
Hmm.
I didn't. I think, at that age, I really liked having a smaller kind of world, because if you got invited to do three things, you could do all three of them was no problem. Out east, you get invited to do three things, you have to pick one because
Right,
traffic and
right.
just things are too far and there's too much going on. So I really liked that then, and I think now as a single person, um, I'm really enjoying being out in the Hamptons, but more so than I think at the lake. But I still love it. What I loved about it is that it was very easy. It was very relaxed. There was a authenticity. There was like a humble, easy quality about it. It was friendly. It was, I don't know, it was just, it always felt very, um, I don't know, it just, the things that I liked about it at that time were that it was very easy and approachable and fun and manageable and fabulous at the same time. And, it was really great. And
Hmm.
it just sort of fit where I was at that time. And I'm noticing now that uh, having I think a bigger social landscape is kind of nice at this point. And maybe because I'm single. Maybe also the one thing I don't miss is that we used to bring a lot. I had friends that had houses there, and some of which that have moved to Palm Beach and other places. But me, um, you really had to bring your group. Whereas now
Hmm.
going out east, I don't have to bring my group anymore. You can go out there with one or two people or just your dog, and there's a lot to do. A lot of
Right, right.
people, a lot of parties, a lot of things, a lot of dinners. And there's just a lot to do. And you don't necessarily have to bring your group. There's a group, your group is just going to be there. Winter, summer, spring, fall. I don't know if I said that in the right order. Um, and so yeah, but I loved it. I did it. Yeah, it's really amazing. It's a beautiful part of the New York State, beautiful part of the world. The water is amazing. I'm actually going up there next week, which I'm excited about. But yeah, so I kind of go between there and the Hamptons now, and
Nice.
now I'm
Nice
renovating a house
tranquility.
there. I don't think I'm going to do a book on this one. But I did do that book, American Beauty. It wasn't so much that it was the most beautiful house. That was never the real. It was really about this beautiful story of like, I'm from central New York, so it was kind of like going back. It was also um, finding a house that was definitely going to be probably torn down. It was built in 1917, and it was kind of a cool house, and the property was great and had a really great history. And interestingly, it was going to be me and another person from television was looking to buy it, which was so
Hmm.
weird. But and that person was going to tear it down, and I ended up getting it. And I think that was really kind of the story of American Beauty, was that old things that aren't quite relevant anymore don't necessarily need to be thrown away. They just
True.
need to be sort of revitalized and
Hmm.
updated, and you have to look beyond sort of the obvious and sort of see what there was. A really beautiful house sitting there that was very livable and very accommodating in terms of its livability. It just needed to be like sort of, revealed. And so that was a really fun project for that reason because, people that knew the property and knew the house were really amazed at what the house became without
Hmm.
it becoming a different property or house.
Right.
And it was a really fun spot where a lot of people were invited to parties and dinners and all sorts of shenanigans. So it was a really great it was a really
I don't think
great
I don't
history.
think I've ever been to that lake. I've been up to Hyde Park. I used to go skiing in Lake Placid. I used to live in Midtown Manhattan
Hmm.
years ago,
Yeah,
previous life, but
nice.
I don't know where the lake is.
Well, it's literally sort of if you just take New York State and say where's the middle, go like that,
Hmm.
you might hit Skinny Alice.
Okay, I'll get my what is it?
Yeah,
Pin on the donkey
yeah,
to the map.
exactly, exactly.
S- So how do you
So
stay?
yeah.
So how do you stay updated and innovative in an ever evolving design industry? I mean, it's always on the move. And any advice for aspiring designers?
Yes. Well, I will tell you how I do it, and then I will use that as my tip. so, for aspiring designers and existing designers and designers who are looking for inspiration, first, I mean, I think I am very involved in the design industry as a whole. So,
Mhm.
I'm at High Point Market. I'm at the Vegas Market. I was just at the Dallas Market. I will be at the Atlanta Market. I go to every showroom in New York City. I am antique dealers. I'm shopping. I was just at the Paris Market. So I mean, I'm not a person that is not involved in the industry and talking to people. I will
Right.
talk to people and really talk to them at length, which sometimes drives people crazy because they're trying to get me from point A to point B, and they're like pointing at their watch and like going like this with their finger to make me wrap up my conversation. But I do a lot of talks and I do a lot of lecture things and I do a lot of all that kind of stuff. My office is in the New York Design Center. My showroom is in the New York Design Center. So I'm constantly surrounded by people in the design business, whether they're vendors or designers or architects. So I definitely am very invested in the space. A lot of my friends are in real estate, architecture, design, they artwork, art dealers, and furniture dealers. I work with all of my licensed partners in all of the things that we design and sell and manufacture, from our rugs to our bedding to our lighting to our,
Mm.
all of it. We have a collection of commercial artwork. We have textiles that we do with Kravitz. So it's like the conversation about what's happening in the world of design is, I would say, very, very typical and very consistent.
Hmm.
And so I'm always in that headspace. And I think that I'm also a very curious person. So it's very hard for me to walk by a store or showroom or anything and not want to poke my head in it. I mean, from whether it's round top or, I'm like, I'll be like, oh, we can drive there. Let's go there. Let's check it out. Let's do it. Let's spend a night. Let's buy some stuff. Let's see what's going on. Let's see what people are talking about. And it's really nice to be able to do that and a lot of times I go to people that sell our product. I go to their showrooms in Nashville, or I go to
Mm.
in Dallas or in wherever. I mean, like from Vegas to Denver to Maine. I'm going to Nova Scotia to one of the people that sells our product to the spring. Going to San Diego soon for same situation. Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina. I kind of go where, and I meet with people that are selling our product, the people that are buying our product, the end users that are there with their designers, and it's fun to just have the conversation and tell them about what I'm doing and hear it, and then listen to their questions. And so I feel like I would say I'm pretty well rounded. I've even done things where I've gone back and I've been a visiting professor at the university that I taught at. So kind of staying connected with students. We tend to, every couple of years, we end up bringing in a couple of new young people into one of our companies. And so understanding like what's going on with, you kind of see what's happening in the world,
Mm-hmm.
and you hear what's happening in the world when you travel with people and really start to connect with them and understand what they're seeing, what they're thinking. And so I feel like I'm very open to all of that information because I think that's what keeps you sort of relevant and knowing what people are looking for, and
True.
not just sort of what your vision is, but sort of
Right.
how to make it connect with what people are actually looking for at this moment.
As you mentioned, you're very much a Renaissance man. You've diversified your career beyond design, including ventures and product lines and licensing. What lessons have you learned from expanding your brand in these various directions? And what have you done that you still want to do?
Okay, I would say my recommendation to designers and young people to be inspired is to just simply get and be involved in what you love doing and know as much as you can know about it, and go to as
Mm-hmm.
many events and just saturate your interest in that, in your time and your free time in that space. And just, you know, I can't say enough about that. I also think for young people, internships are a great springboard to helping getting you to sort of where you need to be. Um, but I would say your last question, which is, remind me.
I mean,
No,
you're
yeah,
doing a lot.
yeah,
You have a
yes,
lot of
Renaissance, yes,
licensing
yeah,
and other things. Yeah.
yeah. I would say what I've learned from it is that knowledge is power, I think, and um, it's a powerful tool to help you navigate. And the more that you are doing in the space, the more knowledge you have of how things sort of come together. You're looking at things holistically. You're looking at them. You're seeing them from sort of every side, every perspective. You're seeing it. I
Mm-hmm.
see things as like a designer. I see them as a consumer. I see them as a vendor. I see them as, a product designer, as an interior designer. I see them as, an architect even. I see them even as you know, someone who has a showroom. I see them as, so it just, you really start to understand, how it all works, and what kind of keeps things moving, and what's missing, what's needed. So I think that's what I would say to. I love having the opportunity to see things through multiple lenses and be involved in it with like a real, I would just say, real well-rounded sort of ability to kind of be a part of it. Because to me, that just gives me so much information. I can sit and talk with somebody for hours about product development. I could talk to them about showroom, sort of, just the sort of how to set a showroom up and what's going on and what's needed. We're in the middle of kind of taking our showroom to the next level because we've learned so much. It's just been so hard for us to implement a lot of what we've learned because there's so many sort of things happening.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really exciting moment to really kind of bring that to another level. So it's each thing I think just gives you a better perspective on the other. And I love going into a meeting about a private residence, and then into a meeting about product, and then into a meeting about showroom, and then into a meeting about a potential TV show, and then into a meeting about a book that we're trying to sort of pitch. And I love having all of that. And, and sometimes I'm doing all of that and, trying to learn a script because I have to go on stage and MC an awards dinner. And so sometimes I'm like, it can feel like a little bit of too much, but I kind of like the little bit of too much. I enjoy it.
Right.
It keeps me on my toes, sort of. And but the thing is, you really do have to depend on the people around you, and and you try to keep sort of the miscommunications to a
Right.
minimum.
And focused. And
Yes.
so what's next for Thom Filicia Design and the brand?
I would say what's next for us. Well, I mean, we just launched our outdoor collection of our textiles, indoor outdoor, with Kravit. We have indoor and now we have indoor outdoor. We're also now going to be launching outdoor rugs. We are going to hopefully be connecting and finalizing a deal with an outdoor furniture manufacturer, so we have that kind of full spectrum of product in that space. We are coming out with accessories, which we're really excited about. A line of accessories with Cyan, and we're always introducing, every market we're introducing a few new rugs, new bedding, new furniture, case goods, and upholstery with Vanguard. We're always introducing new artwork with Wendover. We're every couple of markets we introduce new wall coverings, and with that's MDC, Winfield, Tibony, York, and now lighting with Visual Comfort, which we're excited about, new product with them as well. And it just, we're always kind of, every market we have like 2 or 3 launches, which we're excited about. So we're running around going from showroom to showroom, and then we have things at our showroom, and then we're there to support other people and what they're doing, and just the industry as a whole. And then, I'm also traveling for clients for private projects that we're working on, and just sort of keeping all of those projects moving forward and keeping them on point. I'm also trying to get my house organized and ready, which is, Lord have mercy. I know, just thinking about it is making me nervous. But
are you your
yeah,
own worst client?
I'm a really easy client.
Yeah.
I'm really easy. Especially now because we definitely have, like, years ago when you were a designer and you were shopping anywhere, like, you could be like,
Mm-hmm.
well, I could do this, I could go this way, I could go that way, I could do this, I could do this. Now I'm like, you know what? If there's one thing I'm going to do, is I'm going to use my product for me, because there's nothing worse than a designer that has a line of furniture or a line of rugs and all this, and you go to their house and they don't have them. You're
Right.
like, you don't
Yeah.
practice what you preach. So I definitely practice what I preach, and so that makes it a little bit more streamlined, because you kind of know where you're going to get the majority of what
Right.
you're going to be using, and I'm excited about using it, because I feel like when I entertain and the lights are, at a certain level, and it's mixed with other things that I love and the things that I've had for a long time, or family things or whatever, just personal things. And it just sort of comes alive with music and friends and a really beautiful environment. And all of a sudden people go, oh, I really get what you're doing. I get your aesthetic. I get your point of view. And it's cool. I like it. I may
Mm-hmm.
not want every single piece to be Thom Filicia. And I'm like, but why? No, but yeah. So I mean, it's kind of nice, because I think we're getting it to that point where we can kind of really tell a full story.
Right.
And part of that full story is having it be 70 or 75% our stuff, and then other interesting things that sort of feather in, that are there. So I think
Right.
that's sort of the goal for my house, out in the Hamptons. And I mean, the nickname for the house right now is called High Tides, but I also jokingly call it the infomercial.
It's a good one.
I'm like,
So
well,
what?
because it's when it has all your lighting and your door hardware and your wall covering and your rugs and your furniture and your sheets and your all that stuff in your accessories and your outdoor furniture and your outdoor textiles. You're just
And
like
all the
all of a
pictures
sudden,
of you.
yeah, and you're all looking around and you're like, this is the infomercial, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, but I'm excited that it's yeah, it's coming together beautifully. So I'm excited about it, and I love it. I love what it's becoming. So I feel
has
very
logo has,
proud of a lot of the stuff that we've created.
has Logo seen it yet?
Yeah, Lago. Oh my God, he loves it. Yeah, he has. He's had a few dog parties there. A few of his friends come over. Swear to God, they do. And so yeah, there's very often there's like three or four dogs in the house running around, and they're always barking at God knows what. Um, but yeah, so yeah, I definitely it will be a place that I will enjoy and will invite other people to participate, enjoy, lots of friends and stuff. So, and family, because it is going to be that kind of place. And so was my last place, and so was my place in the city. And that's kind of how I definitely am like, I always inviting everybody over to my place. But I just think that it'll be nice that this is really going to be a very up to date, kind of very well rounded holistic kind of thing about our product and what we're doing and sort of this sensibility. And a lot of that is what our new book will be kind of about. Is really, um, it's really going to be sort of lifestyle driven interiors, but coming up with ways to use our product or product in
Hmm.
general in ways that sort of really feel, I would say, personalized and unique and special and authentic to that experience and creating that combination and creating that interesting point of view.
What defines Thom Filicia the man and Thom Filicia design?
I would say what defines, I would say, easy, fun, approachable, stylish, um, enjoyment. I don't know. I would say, I think the aesthetic of what we do is very driven by sort of my aesthetic, in the sense that I think it's fun and inclusive. And I always say that, the way we describe our interiors is the way I would want to describe a best friend, which is fun, down to earth, approachable, stylish, sophisticated, unpretentious, um, you know, cool but warm. It's just a well balanced human, And I always
Right.
feel like that's kind of what I want the interiors to feel like. And that they're stylish and down to earth and not so self conscious, but they're cool but still very warm. And I don't know. That's kind of what I think. That's sort of the backbone of kind of what we do. I also think that the things that we do tend to be very similar to myself. Is that timeless, but very timely at the same time. Things that will kind of age well. Let's hope. And
We'll try
and
to get you a date.
yeah, like seriously, that would be great. Age well. I don't know. Yeah, it's like that kind of. I think that's sort of what sort of defines us. Um, and I think that I don't know. at the end of the day, it's not that complicated. It's really
Hmm.
it's we're creating really beautiful backdrops for people to have awesome lives. Hopefully, and that's really sort of the idea. To enjoy
If
it.
if there's one project that you can think of during your career and journey that would be the legacy, is there one you can think of particularly
Hmm.
that stand the test of time and just has your essence and DNA
Yeah.
and
I mean, that's a really interesting question. I think that what designers do for themselves usually is a more interesting narrative in terms of their legacy, I think. Um, I would say, I think at this point of my career, as much as I would not want to say that's my legacy. Look, I've done the World's Fair in Aichi, Japan. I've done, doing very amazing, incredible projects in Palm Beach and in Naples, Florida right now, and in upstate New York and Connecticut and New York City. But when you're working for a client for your legacy, I always think it's strange, to use your clients' projects for your legacy, because I feel like that's their legacy that you've helped them develop. So I would say, as of right now, as much as I don't want to say the house in Skinny Atlas, I would say my legacy would always be, if you look at the sort of, if you look at the progression of all of your personal spaces, and really look at them and understand what the message, what the vibe is, what the point of view is, why you've chosen these things for yourself. And sometimes you've chosen them because they were free, and you make them work. But sometimes it was specific to that situation. You were coming up with creative solutions. I don't know. I think the legacy thing would be really fun to put together. Just sort of a like a really great sort of portfolio of personal work, because I think that's where people would get the most depth of sort of interest. You know what I mean? I think the interest in those projects would come from the depth of what was making you make those decisions. And I think they would probably be more humble than most of the other projects. And also, I just think when you're doing an incredible project for another person, at the end of the day, it is for that other person or people or family or whoever or brand. And I think that, I don't know, to me, that's sort of their legacy, the legacy of that family, that brand, that person. So I would say my personal work. And if I had to pick one at this point, I would say probably Skinny Atlas, just because I think it was the most, I think I loved the idea of saving an old house. I think that was like sort of the ugly duckling that was going to there's sort of a sweet story there.
Right.
When you buy $1 million, condo in a glass box in Manhattan, it's already nice. You might make it nicer, but it's already nice. You know, you buy a, multi-million dollar, house that there was something about that house. Squirrels were living in it when I bought it. So there's something special about that story. And there's something special about it's like I'm from that area. It's something special about it. It was kind of a time in my life where I was like kind of coming of age, as an adult. I felt like, really kind of coming of age as an adult. It was, yeah, it was. I would say that would be, as much as I don't. I mean that project gets a lot of credibility or a lot of or sort of airtime. Let's just say gets a lot of airtime. So I don't know if I would pointed it out, but I do think that that's probably, it feels the most
the one
thorough and well thought through, that sort of gives a real sense of who I am and kind of what I'm about.
Is there anything that you haven't done you still want to do in your personal life and in design?
Oh yeah, I mean, I feel like I just got started. So I'm like, yeah, a lot of stuff. I mean, I'm excited about, multiple locations of Sedgwick and Brattle. I'm excited about doing, different types of architecture that we haven't done yet. I would love to do a yacht. I've never done a yacht. I Planes are boring because there's so many limitations. They're like, no, that's going to catch on fire. No, that's going to catch on fire. No, that's going to. So, but so yeah, it was. I would say, I would just say I feel like I'm kind of at that point where we're just starting to spread our wings. So I would just say like really open to sort of exciting new opportunities. I'm excited to do more hotels. I'm excited to do more residences, and especially with clients who are, secure and confident and transparent, not so complicated. Yeah, so that would be great. I don't know. I'm looking forward to it all.
What's the story behind the name of your showroom?
Oh, it's the corner I grew up on. I grew up on the corner of Sedgwick Drive and Brattle Road. So it's Sedgwick and Brattle. I figured, I don't know, I knew how to spell both of the words, so we had that going for it. And I just thought I was so used to saying it my whole life that I just thought, it's weird I'm not saying it anymore. So now I say it.
Well, before we wrap up, is there anything else you want to share or Logo wants to share with us?
I don't know. Logo, anything you want to share with us? He's like, yes, can everyone please bring me a piece of ham?
Yeah, I think it's happy hour.
It is. It's treat hour. Oh my God. So I would say, what do I want to say to everyone? Well, first of all, thanks for tuning in. And yeah, just keep an eye out for what we're up to. You can always check on, I'm always, here and there. I use it mostly for work stuff, but at Thom Filicia on Instagram is a good way to say hello, and Thom Filicia portfolio to kind of see what projects we've done and what's happening. And I would say those are two good, easy ways to check in on us.
Track you down.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you both coming on the show today. It's been a pleasure, and I look forward to chatting with you soon.
Well, thank you. We had a great time, and we hope to do it again.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.